Alright guys, so I got the Fatboy up in the stand. Still gotta strap it down, but what we're gonna be doing is changing out the handlebars. You can see them in the background on the shelf there, putting some 16-inch ape hangers on. And that was a complete kit with the levers, the switches, the wires, the works. I also have new mirrors, risers, cables, all that other good stuff over there, new grips, turn signal relocation, all that stuff. And what I'm going to do, rather than stripping everything off the handlebar, I'm actually going to start more towards the bottom and dislocate the cables, the wires, etc. from the bottom end and work my way up. Once the wires and everything are separated from the bottom end, for example, the clutch wire here comes down here into the transmission. We'll start with that first, get all that stuff loose. Once all that stuff is loose, then we'll come up here, take the nozzle off, take the bolts out the bottom of the handlebars there, both sides. And the goal is to actually remove the handlebar with the controls all in one full swoop. Those will be going up for sale. And replace all that with all new material. The seat will come off, passenger seat will come off, sissy bar will come off, give me some room to work. And it's better running the straps over the frame the way that I like to do it. Keep the seat out of the way so the seat don't get damaged. And with that said, I also need to remove the tank to get to some of the wires underneath there. This is a fuel injected model, however. So what we're going to do, I have to take the cover off first, but that's a quick release right in there. Take that clamp off. That's actually a fuel line. That'll drop off. It's pretty simple. Well, I got the tank off along with the seat, passenger pillion, sissy bar, fuel lines, got all that off. Next we're going to be working on getting these throttle cables loose, throttle and idle cables down out of there, get the wires cleared out, because the wires come up in through handlebars, internal wiring. Get all that out, get the exhaust out of the way, so we get this cover off here to get the clutch cable out. And ultimately separate the handlebars from the trees there. Alright, at this point I now have all the cables and all the wires completely separated. Brought them all up high, zip tied them all together, because as I said, I'm going to take the bolts out from the bottom of the neck there and remove this whole unit as one whole cohesive unit all together. And that way it would be easier for the next guy who does decide to purchase them, put them on his. Come off a lot easier for me and go on a lot easier for him. All that's next now is pull in 2 bolts and remove that whole unit. And another thing, just a quick tip, the reason I did all this, I curled that up with the zip ties, of course obviously it makes it easier for him, but also removing this from the bike with everything attached to it, you don't want to take a chance of any of your hoses, any of your electricals, anything getting caught up in the valleys or anywhere in the frame or anything, like your clutch cable for example. running along the bottom of the frame there. Back to the transmission, that can become a problem trying to get it out if it's not already out and you got the handlebars dangling in your hands. I know most of you guys already know that, but there are a few new guys that don't know that yet, so that message is for those guys. I hope everything works out for you when you do your project. And just like that, handlebars, controls, cables, wires, etc., all off in one full swoop. Just remember, guys, take your time. If you're going to get into a project like this yourself, try to think of it like a game of chess. Try to think a few moves ahead. If I take this bolt out, what happens? If I disconnect this wire, what happens? Can't stress it enough, though, to make sure you get that battery disconnected first before you start messing with the wires, so you don't burn anything up. But yeah, time and patience, it'll come along for you guys. Alright, well, she's all torn down. Now it's the rebuild process. And basically, I'm going to do everything in reverse order of the way that I took everything off. Starting right at the very top of the trees. I already got the risers on, as you can see. And then from there, put the handlebars in. I left everything loose for now until we get everything squared up and all in place. And then we'll go over everything, tighten everything down. But right now, got the risers on, handlebars are next. Controls are actually mounted to the handlebars over there. And you can see the wires hanging out the bottom, so once they're on, I'll have to solder in the old jacks, get everything squared away so we can get them plugged in, make sure they're all working before we wrap everything up, put the tank on and all that stuff. Don't forget your blue Loctite, guys. You're definitely going to want to have that on there. Last thing you want to do is be running down the highway, have stuff start coming loose on you. Let that set up a little bit. It don't take much, as you can see on the threads. These here are actually going in the risers. But again, that's something very important, especially with ape hangers. You don't want to have those apes coming loose on you going down the highway. I had a guy following me, had that happen to him once, heading into Ohio. He was running a Sportster with apes, following behind in a staggered formation. I happened to check my mirror, noticed he was getting smaller, so I did a U-turn, go back check on him. His apes dropped down, went around the sides of the tank, and he couldn't steer the bike but a few degrees in either direction, so he just kind of went off the side of the road there, and we had to leave him there while I ran and grabbed some tools, come back, got him squared away. It could have went a lot worse, so just be careful, guys. Well, she's been a work in progress, but she's coming along. Finally got the wiring done, got the tank reinstalled, got the gas lines hooked up. She's gonna look really good when she's finished. By my standards anyways. I know everybody's got their own taste. A lot of you guys even hate the apes. To each their own. I find that for my height, my riding stance, seat, etc., these particular bars tend to set my hands right about my shoulders, and that's where I feel the most comfortable. Not above my shoulders, not below my shoulders, but right at. And that's both safe and comfortable, especially on the longer rides. Well, at this point, she's pretty much back together, guys. Got everything bolted back in place, pretty much. This moment, about to bleed out the front brakes. Set her down on the ground. Do a quick double check to make sure everything's tight where it needs to be. As long as all that checks out, go ahead and pull her out in the yard and give her a good bath. Take her for a good test ride. But she's coming along. Well, I got the bike done yesterday morning. Went to go for the test ride, and storm come through, dumped the rain down. So now that we actually have some clear weather, I'll go ahead and fire it up and get a good test ride in.